Hi guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you where Google has failed in adding the feed rules into the new Google Merchant Center Next. Now, to be honest, rolling out this Google Merchant Center Next without its full features from the classic version, to me is a bit of an epic fail and a bit frustrating because as I've been walking through this whole series, I've been showing you how to set up your Google Merchant Center Next with our test site being cheapcampinggear.net. In addition to all the other things I've been showing you in the previous videos. Now, I had overlooked this in the previous video about the Google Merchant Center Next update. You can find that video here. However, all is not lost. We can still roll back. And in this article by Search Engine Journal, they do state that the Google Merchant Center Next will support rules and supplemental feeds in the future. And this article was written on the 1st of December in 2023. And today is the 18th of January in 2024. So all we know by this article is that when they do plan to support it is going to be early next year. So whenever that is. We can't sit around and wait. So we do need to roll back today. The reason why it's been a fail is because under the products that need attention in the Google Merchant Center Next, it says to improve the limited performance on all my products, I need to add in either a GTIN or Global Trade Identifier Number, or an MPN, which is a manufacturing product number. Now, as this is our test store, it doesn't have any of those numbers provided in AliExpress. So what we need to do for Google is state that these numbers don't exist for these products. So how do you do that? There's a couple of ways you can do it. One would be to do it inside Shopify. So coming back real quick, if I come to the Google and YouTube app, and if I was to manage products, you'd hope you'd be able to do it inside this app in Shopify. And here's the barcode or, GTIN, MPN, or whatever you would add in. However, can't be added. And there's no column here to add in what Google is looking for is called identifier exist. It just is not here. So when looking that up, you can see that this is what they're looking for, identifier exists. And then in this article here about unique product identifiers, you would come down and you would state it as false or as no. You can read these articles here on how to do that. And also in this article here about identify exists under these attributes. All right. And as it reads just here, the formatting of that, you can state it as true, false, or yes, no. And there's some examples there on how to do that. So that attribute cannot be added through the Google and YouTube app. I'm sure there's probably ways you can do that through the custom labeling, but however, I don't want to go to that trouble to add that in. Now, there's other ways you can do it through other data feed apps, which I will show you in a future video. As I said before, I want more control over my data feed. And I look forward to showing those videos. So hit subscribe if you want to be notified when that video comes out. And coming back to Google Merchant Center Next, we can see that there's no tab here under feed rules. So what do? We have to roll back to the classic Google Merchant Center account. And just to give you an idea, I've just come back to one of my old Google Merchant Center accounts that I was managing once upon a time. This hasn't been updated to the Google Merchant Center Next yet. And to demonstrate what I'm looking for in terms of the feed rules, I'll come to products, I'll select feeds. Then under the feed name, I'll click that content API or whatever feed name you have. And there's a bulk way to do this, which makes it much simpler. And that's under the feed rules. And then there's a general rule across your whole Google Merchant Center. If you do not have any GTINs or MPNs, you can just add in that identifier attribute by clicking the blue button here and then just go through the process on how to do that. But I'll do that in a separate video. And also in the next video, I'll show you how to roll back your Google Merchant Center Next to the classic version. So I'll see you in that video.